Placebo steroids have been scientifically proven to boost your performance. You'll crush your workouts, you'll recover more quickly, you'll have fewer doubts, way more confidence, and overall your running performance will just steadily improve. In fact, if you're not using placebo steroids, you're possibly leaving as much as 2 or 3 or even 4% of your performance on the table. And since most of us don't have coaches who will hand us placebos under the guise of them being steroids, I wanted to share with you the plan I used personally to boost my running performance with placebo steroids. There's also even some evidence that placebos still work even when people know they're placebos. So more on that in a minute, but stick with me because I've got a lot to share with you. And before I dive in, I know I'm probably going to get some negative feedback for this, but let me just say this. If you can't find a way to believe in a placebo steroid, how are you possibly going to find a way to believe in something that is 10 times more difficult? And that is believing in your biggest, wildest dreams in life and running. I want to start with a little bit about my story of how I got into placebo steroids, and then move into a little bit about how placebo steroids can make you feel, why it is that they work so well, what it is you should look for in designing a placebo steroid, and then finally, how to go about setting up a regimen that'll work for you to boost your performance using running placebos. My senior year at St. Thomas, I had yet to win a national championship, and on top of that, I was coming off 3 stress fractures from that summer. So I was seriously lacking in confidence. I took needles filled with water and injected them into my glute to see if I could boost my confidence by simulating the steroid effect. And I genuinely believe that that was at least a small part of why I was able to go on to win a title that fall. So what exactly are the benefits? What do you feel from taking placebo steroids? Me personally, I just remember I started waking up with just this overall optimism. Like I had less weight on my shoulders. I just felt overall better. That seemed to help me an enormous amount. Other people have reported feeling like less emotional, right? More calm, less tense, having more motivation, feeling less pain while running. All of these things on their own are what make you run faster as a result. So why do placebo steroids work? A lot of this information I got from this book, Alchemy by Rory Sutherland. And essentially in it, he talks about a psychologist, Nicholas Humphrey, who posits that placebos work because they prompt your mind to invest more resources in recovery. Humphreys believes that evolution calibrated our recovery systems for a much harsher environment. Since we oftentimes had to deal with scarcity of food and resources, our bodies essentially operate in the equivalent of your cell phone's battery saving mode. The key is to convince your subconscious that this is a favorable and optimal time to invest resources in your recovery. You can't directly control your body's automatic systems, but you can hack them by generating the conditions that create the automatic response that you want, which in this case is more and faster recovery. Think about it like this. Your subconscious also controls your sexual arousal, right? You can't just consciously be like, okay, I want to be sexually aroused. But you can sort of create the conditions by having a routine that generates those responses that you want, right? Like it's kissing, touching your partner, starting to get undressed, grabbing the whips and chains from the closet, right? That process gets everything going that hacks your subconscious to say, okay, let's get the tumescence up, let's get the testosterone levels elevated, let's get sexually aroused. It's the same with the process of using placebo steroids. You can't directly control it, but you can create a process that hacks that subconscious into creating the response that you're looking for. In case you aren't yet convinced, one last study that might just Rory also mentions in his book, a biologist from Bristol University by the name of Pete Trimmer, who studied Siberian hamsters and found that their recovery from illness tended to vacillate based on how much light was shown above their cages. And his theory for why this is because during the summertime, populations throughout history have had less issues with scarcity of resources, and so the body is willing to commit more towards recovery, whereas in the wintertime, simulated by less light, we tend to have more issues with scarcity, and so we conserve more of our energy and resources. So really, it's the job of the placebo to convince the mind that time is optimal to commit resources to recovery. So what exactly makes for a great placebo? Well, luckily for us, we have a ton of evidence and research backing up what it is you need to do and find to make it work. Pretty much for a placebo steroid, you really have two options right off the bat. It's either a sugar pill or using a needle. What I used personally was a needle full of water, and I injected it into my glute. And I'll explain more about why I did that in a little bit when I get down to setting up the process. But personally, I found that to be most effective, but there is a way I can explain where you can make a sugar pill essentially just as effective, even though research shows that a needle, from a medical standpoint anyway, provides more benefit than a sugar pill. When it comes to setting up a pill, if possible, you'll probably want to use the color red. Red has been shown, especially with like painkillers, to be the most effective color for a placebo. Although there is some evidence that blue works well for creating a sleepy or tired ambience. So if what you're going for is really recovery or sleepiness, you might want to go the route of a blue pill. There was a pain reliever brand in Australia that had marketed the exact same pain reliever pill under different price points with different benefits. One of them, for example, targeted headaches, another one stomach aches or back aches or whatever it was. They had found that by labeling them as targeting different ailments, even though it was the exact same pill, it had more benefit. And the same could be very well true with placebo steroids. If you're looking for something specific to recover from a certain ailment or a hamstring that's not recovering, or maybe whatever it is, targeting and directing your placebo towards that thing will make it more effective for you. The more expensive that a placebo is, the better it works. Same with like over-the-counter painkillers for headaches or whatever. The more expensive that Tylenol pill is in studies, the more effective it's shown to work. You want it to taste foul. Foul tasting medication, for example, has been shown to do significant more in terms of placebo for healing ailments and illnesses. The same goes for placebo steroids. A lot of cough medicine, for example, or NyQuil type medications will say on there not to be used more than 2 or 3 or 4 nights in a row. And the reason for that is because it creates this illusion in the head that it is extremely potent. So taking something that you tell yourself, okay, I can only do this for a certain number of days, can kind of get your mind into the idea of, okay, this is a really potent pill that I'm taking. It has been shown, like, for example, I saw a study that showed that people with generic golf clubs golfed better with those same golf clubs when the experimenters had slapped the Nike logo on them. So putting some emphasis of force or something powerful that you can assimilate in your head behind it might very well help you. If you can affiliate your placebo pill with Kipchoge or something that really inspires you. Finally, meaning is disproportionately connected, with placebos anyway, to the illogical and unusual. The more weird your process is, the more unique and kind of odd it seems, the more it's gonna be mentally salient and the more it's gonna help you. So something I wanna note here is that the placebo is not the pill. The placebo is actually the encounter, the process. So in a medical setting, it's the white coats, the doctor's symbols, the prescription pad, the stethoscope, the feelings of authority. It's the feeling of being cared for by a physician. That's what causes the actual placebo effect. The sugar pill is kind of just a proxy to measure or gauge that. Finally, setting up a process for a placebo steroid regimen. First of all, find a time and place each day that you can use where you'll feel strong, confident, relaxed, essentially creating the emotions that you want to assimilate with using a placebo steroid. Number 2, create a routine and put some serious effort into the process so that it feels very official. So like one of the things you could do is maybe hide the ingredients you're using or the sugar pills, or maybe lock them up to kind of create this idea in your head that what you're doing is something that you're not supposed to be doing. Trying to be kind of secretive about it can kind of put you in the right mood to think, okay, this is a pretty powerful steroid that I'm using. One of the things that Rory mentions in his book is that when you put some serious effort into creating a pill, the effectiveness of the placebo goes way up. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier when I talked about using a needle versus a pill. Using a needle is a lot of effort, and it creates this routine and this process that feels very official. And that works extraordinarily well for creating a placebo. But if you're doing something with some pills like mixing or diluting, that can create the same illusion if you do it well. So if you say have a couple of different powders and maybe like a capsule, and you're mixing A, powder B, powder C together, maybe diluting it, then packing it into the capsule. If you're putting some serious effort into it, you can create the same effect as you would do with a needle using essentially a sugar pill. Number 3 is using convincing wording to reinforce the beliefs of the steroid that you're taking. So you're gonna wanna create something, sit down, take a minute, write something out that says something like, this is making me stronger, more confident, this is helping me recover. Find the right words to reinforce exactly what it is that you wanna get out of taking a placebo steroid. Number 4, find the right support group if possible. It shows that with placebo steroids, if someone else is super pumped about the benefits and the effects and believes in it, that can kind of rub off on you as well. So if you have a friend or someone that you can do it with, or if not, you can always come back and watch this video and use me as your support person to help you like boost your belief in this. With medical placebos, it's been shown that like the interaction with a doctor, having a talk with a doctor, is really a big thing that goes a long way towards helping placebos work. And in this case of an athletics placebo, having someone in an authority position, in this case it would probably be a coach. If you have a coach that you can consult with to give you some like boost of belief. Number 5, this is what I did after taking my placebo steroid. I would lie down and meditate and kind of just close my eyes and really envision very hardcore like the effects of the placebo steroid working on me. Like I would try to envision it going through my muscles, through my veins, to my legs, my arms, and just really powerfully impacting this feeling of like, okay, you're getting the benefit of this, you're recovering, you're gonna feel stronger, you're gonna feel faster. You've gotta believe that this is working, and just really emphasize that in your head immediately after doing it. And then finally, number 6, the more it's on your mind, the more prominent it is, the more salient it is, the more it's gonna work. So if you can find something, whether it's a ring or a necklace or something that you can wear, or something to constantly remind you of it, the more effective it's gonna be, because it's gonna stay on top of your mind and it's gonna keep reminding you that, okay, this is working, I'm recovering better, I'm getting stronger, faster, more confident. And the more you're thinking about that, the more benefit you're gonna get. And following up on that, look for signs that it's working, and maybe start journaling if it helps you, and writing down these things each day like, okay, I'm starting to feel better there or here, or I'm feeling less sore, or I'm feeling more optimistic, I crushed this past workout. Reinforcing by reviewing those things and seeing that it seems to be working will reinforce those beliefs, and they'll kind of snowball and compound, and that'll again kind of boost your belief that this is in fact working for you and that you are in fact getting better. And that's pretty much it, guys. Like I said earlier, placebos really just come down to belief. If you believe something will work, oftentimes it will. Whether it's believing in a placebo or your wildest dreams in life, just find a way to believe, and honestly, who knows what's gonna happen.